So first and foremost, I just want to, kind of kick things up. What's it like being a professional athlete? I think I personally have always dreamt about it. You always think, okay, someday I want to be a pro athlete.
Yeah.
And, whether it's for a short time or, and especially with volleyball, I know it's a little different because there's not like, for hockey, kids are like, okay, there's the NHL. I feel like for volleyball, like every big volleyball star when they're kids is kind of like the Olympics.
Yeah,
is that kind of how that works? Because there's not really like a United States like big pro volleyball league.
Yeah.
So kind of take me through like what that process was like and what it kind of meant for you to like get that opportunity.
So growing up, there's pipeline opportunities to start with the USA team, and if you don't start that from your young, it's hard to get into the program unless you're a top 5 college team in the country. So when I was young, I'm like, I'm gonna play for the Olympics, and then I got a little bit older, and I'm like, it's a little less realistic for me. There's a lot of better athletes out there. And then near my sophomore year in college, I started hearing more and more about pro. Literally everywhere outside the U.S. is a huge deal for volleyball. Asia, Europe, South America, everywhere there's volleyball. So I got an agent my senior year, and he kind of put my name out and shopped me around a little bit, and I got to go play in Spain for a couple months. It wasn't for me, but it was an amazing experience. I still have a lot of friends who do it.
So when you say it wasn't for you, what part did you not exactly, what was difficult there?
I didn't really get along with my agent so well. That's a big important thing. Like, they're representing you. They talk to you every week. If you don't get along with them, that's tough. My team there, it was a little shady, didn't get paid on time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's always something that's a little bit more concerning.
Yeah, it's not as established in the U.S. Obviously, there is no league. There used to be in the 80s. But in Europe, if you're a foreign player playing on a foreign team, it's really hard to be legit and get the respect. And, I barely speak Spanish, so they could say things and do things to me, and I wouldn't know what's going on. So I had to rely on teammates to kind of talk to them for me and for me to talk to them through my teammates. That was tough, and I just didn't like being out of the U.S. I love traveling, but living over there for an extended period of time was tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit here, but so you're a Kansas State alum. Take me through what that's like. I mean, I think every kid, like I said before, about like the first step to usually being, that pro athlete is getting that D1 scholarship or that D1 opportunity. What kind of brought you to that situation? How did you get, how did Kansas State find you and things like that? And, take me through what it was like to actually, live out, that, because Kansas State seems like a pretty, they have a pretty solid program in place, and, it looks like a lot of fun being on a part of a team like that. So kind of just take me through what that was like for you and, kind of how that all came about for you.
So women's sports in particular, but volleyball especially, is tricky. They start recruiting. I started getting recruited in 8th grade, which is tough. They made new rules starting in 2019 that you can't reach out to athletes unless they're juniors in high school, I believe. So they bumped that back a bunch.
That seems really late.
That is late.
I've seen 8th graders in hockey that have committed.
Yeah.
And it's just that seems very extremely late.
But it was getting to the point where they had to do something. I would have enjoyed seeing it 10th grade, maybe.
Yeah, sophomore, because I feel like sophomore year would have been good.
Yeah, but they bumped it. And now, but when I was in 8th grade, I was getting a bunch of letters and all this interest in coaching. My mom was always a coach. So they found a loophole. You're not allowed to contact kids if they're in season, but you're allowed to contact the coaches, and my mom happened to be my coach. So coaches would find loopholes to come and talk to me, and they'd ask, what do you want to major in? What do you want to do? And I'm like...
I'm an 8th grader. I have no idea.
I'm an 8th grader. What is college, So...
What's a major? What does that even mean?
I like talking. But,
I'm really good at the whole talking thing. That's kind of a specialty of mine.
Right?
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So... It kind of reached out to me through that. I started looking end of 9th grade. I committed to Wisconsin, so I wanted to be a Badger really bad, playing the Big Ten. So I was going there. It was all set up. And then end of my sophomore year, there was a coaching change. And the new coach came in, and he's like, we'll honor your scholarship, but you're not typically the type of player I'd recruit. I like smaller girls who are faster. We'll honor it, but just know that I'm bringing my own girls in. I'm like... I don't want to go into college with that.
Right.
The coach, that being his first impression of me. So
I feel like that's that was definitely a respectable move by the coach, though, too. Because I know there's a lot of situations where a new coaching staff comes in and says, "All right, I don't care who you are. I'm gonna bring in my group, and this is what I want."
Yeah.
But so the fact that I feel like that's a good respect to you, just saying hey, I know I know you're typically not what we look for, but if you want to come and try to make this work, we're gonna give you that chance.
For sure. So I kind of decommitted from there and started looking around. Narrowed it down to teams that made it to the Sweet 16 the year before. And Kansas State
Not a big deal.
And Kansas State did, and I reached out to them, and I actually had another girl from Minnesota committed there. So I was talking through her, and then I went through for a visit. I was intending to hit KU on the way back home because we drove down there, and I just loved K-State so much. I called the KU coach and canceled that, and then the next day I committed.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I was like, this is it. It was amazing. I actually ended up graduating high school early, so I went down there when I was 17.
That's actually what Mac May did, too.
Yep. So I did that. I trained with them in the spring. I loved it. I loved my experience there. Nothing but great things to say about Kansas State. Started early, got the great opportunity to play there. I was an All-American twice, but I tore my ACL the second game of my sophomore year, so I had to redshirt. So it was tough. It was my first year, my last year, kind of my standout years. And years in the middle were just about
kind of gaining that back. And, I mean, that's definitely got to be frustrating too, especially when you have a strong first start and you're like, all right, it's only going to go up from here. I got 3 more years to kind of establish myself. And then have a setback like that, you know, like, okay, well, this is what I'm capable of. Yeah. Now I have to just try to get to that point first before I can even think about getting, back to what I wanted to be.
Yeah, it was tough. It was mentally hard, but it taught me what it was to be a leader off the court and, be a good teammate because I've always been the person playing. I never had to be the person supporting. So I think now as a coach, that made me a better coach. Like that experience I had to go through and a better person. So
when kind of building off of that, as an athlete, how, it's frustrating when you are out there and you feel like, okay, I can't do what I know I can do.
Yeah.
Like you feel like there's something holding you back that isn't capable. Being able to kind of come back and have, like you said, a strong senior season, what did that mean to you knowing it was your last year there that you could get back to where you kind of thought you knew you could be and make an impact like you did? That
was so hard. My mental game, I had to elevate so much. I had to change my diet. I'm like, this is going to be my year. Like, this is my last year here. No regrets. Can't leave anything behind. So, physically, I got into much better shape, but I think mentally, my game changed a bunch. And knowing I was that person on the court that my team was going to look to, it was tough, but I mean, I like it. I like being a workhorse. That's always the player I've been.
Mm-hmm. So, this is a question that's just been really, I've noticed has been really, like, kind of heavily weighed on by a lot of athletes lately, is the whole paying college athletes thing. So, do you feel strongly about that one way or another?
Yeah. So, actually, my last year at K-State, I was starting to get my master's. I'm going to finish that up soon. But I had something about college sports class from my master's program, and I had to do a bunch of research about this. And I think California just passed a new law that student athletes can make profit off the likeliness of their name. And the
NCAA kind of followed through and allowed that for almost the whole thing. So
I think that's huge.
NCAA video games are coming back, baby, hopefully.
Woohoo! But I definitely think that's a step in the right direction. I think if they start straight out paying athletes, that'll be tough because Title IX, like girls' sports, won't exist anymore. But I do think they do not own you, so you as a student athlete should be able, if someone approaches you and says, hey, I want your autographs, hey, can you pose? I mean, this will be big for football teams and basketball teams, maybe some hockey teams, maybe some baseball teams, very few volleyball teams. But I think if people approach you and ask you to do something for them, you should be able to make money off your image and your name because you're not owned. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction right now. But I mean, there's a long ways to go. The NCAA is lots of opinions on them, but I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
No, the big thing I know a lot of people have talked about too is just kind of how the biggest comparison I know you see a lot of people do is when they talk about football.
Yeah.
When it comes to college football, there's that sense of pride, like this is my alma mater. I went here. I walked the same halls as those kids. Like I chose the school for the same reason as those kids. And then when it's the NFL, it's like, all right, well, you're in the NFL. Like, it's a whole different, world that not many people understand. Mm-hmm. So do you think that if college athletes started to receive a paycheck, that when it comes to that, that feeling and that pride that comes with, college sports, because a lot of kids probably won't be choosing their sport based on the school, based on which one they feel home at. It'll be like, hey, who's got the most money for me?
Yeah.
So do you think that could potentially ruin the college sports world at all?
I mean, if the schools themselves start paying them, then yes. I think outside entities should be able to pay them. Getting into the nitty-gritty and schools being able to pay them, that's tough because you're going to see less top teams competing for national championship. You're going to see more of the same team winning every year because kids want to go there for money. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't blame them. So, I mean, it's a tricky line. There's a lot of rules, but, you know, I could definitely see that happening.
All right. I think, I mean, you've obviously had, you know, a whole bunch of different experiences that a lot of people have never had.
Yeah.
You've got to have a few good stories along the way. Something memorable that you know, that stands out in your mind. Like, all right, this is something that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
What was that moment for you?
Playing. I have one from high school and one from college. My high school experience, we won nationals my 15th year. It was in Georgia. That was amazing. That was the first year I ever played club. I kind of live
good start.
Yeah, I kind of live out in the sticks.
Hot start.
Live out in the sticks in Minnesota. So my parents decided to give up a lot and drive me to this bigger club over an hour away, and they put a lot of money into it. And that year, we won nationals. I got All-Americans. That was huge. That was the first year. I'm like, oh my god, I'm a good volleyball player.
Yeah.
And I got some confidence from that. And then my college one. My redshirt sophomore year, so my first year off my ACL, I was playing. We were in Hawaii, and they were ranked 5th in the country, and we knocked them off, and they have the second biggest fan base in the country. So we knocked them off in this packed dome in front of thousands and thousands of screaming Hawaiian fans. That was amazing. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah.
All right, so last question here. Don't want to take too much of your time, but so you're obviously, like, now you're in the coaching world. You know, it's extremely different from being a player. It's probably very hard at sometimes to be a coach when you just, like, you know, you want to just, I want to do this for you because you know what it takes. Did you ever see yourself getting into coaching? Was it something that you wanted to, or was it something that you didn't really think about until the opportunity presented itself?
So I said this earlier, but my mom was a coach. She's always been a coach. My dad, not as high level of a coach, but coached a bunch of youth teams growing up, you know? So being that angsty teen, I'm like, I don't want to coach. I want to be the exact opposite of what my parents do. Then I got older in my first year in college. My head coach, Susie Fritz, looked at me and goes, you're going to be a coach one day. I can just see it. I was a captain for 4 years, which is unheard of.
Yeah, like that's very difficult for people to do as a freshman, to walk in and earn the respect of your team and then be like, all right, you know, I'm 22 years old, but I'm looking at you as an 18-year-old, like, you're my leader. Like, what do I do?
Exactly. So I get in there. I'm good with people. I'm outspoken. I'm not afraid to not be liked. You know, like, I'll make a decision. So I think that kind of prepared me for this. And after she said that to me, I'm like, I thought about being a teacher before too. I love working and talking with people, and I love volleyball so much. It's my passion. So I feel like coaching is kind of a mashup of the two. So, you know, after my freshman year of college, I'm like, all right, this is something I want to get into.
And I mean, obviously this is your first kind of coaching experience. You know, I'm sure you've learned a lot over the past year that you probably, you know, never even thought about, like, when you're going into coaching, like, you don't expect a lot of this stuff to kind of be part of your job. What are your future aspirations? Obviously, like, not many people hope to stay, you know, as a D3 assistant coach, but it's obviously, especially for you coming right out of the professional ranks, this is a really good opportunity, like, right away, really quickly, you know, not having to start all at the high school level or something like that, like, being kind of thrown into the fire I would, you know, assume be something that, like, is going to help you in the long run. And I'm just kind of interested to see, like, where you'd like to end up ideally.
So, I mean, this was really good because it's a completely different aspect of volleyball, D3 to my Power 5 D1 school. So I've learned so much here in, 5 months? So I've loved that. But ideally, I'd love to I want to stay in Minnesota. I love Minnesota. The level of volleyball is super high in the Midwest. It'd be amazing. University of Minnesota, I grew up there. So, I mean,
that's kind of something
like years and years and years down the road. But being a head coach would be my dream job. More realistically, in the close future, love to be a head coach at a solid D2 school. But yeah, I mean, I'm hungry to always be better, so I want to get and coach the best team I can possibly get. Awesome.
Well, I appreciate your time. Do you have any last words for the people? Because we have so many viewers on this podcast. All of our viewers out there.
Go Cards.
Yeah, roll cards, baby.